Okay, so I finally got my hands on the new Nintendo Switch 2. I've owned a Nintendo Switch for many years at this point, and I absolutely had to get my hands on one of these to check it out and to see kind of what what all the hype was about. So what we're going to do today is just do a quick unboxing. I'm going to share my initial thoughts. Okay, so we've got the Switch all set up and unboxed, and now it's just downloading the update data so that I can go ahead and get the Switch ready to go. But while that's happening, I just want to share a couple things with you that I noticed right away. So, first of all, the Joy-Cons, as I was hoping, are just vastly improved over what we got with the original Switch. One of the big things that I noticed right away was the trigger buttons. If you're going to play it like this, the trigger buttons are substantially better in my opinion. And I also like the way that they attach. They attach in a way that gives a little bit more support. They attach right in this little slot here. So there's no sliding up or down. And because that is recessed so deep into the controller here, it doesn't feel like it's going to cause a lot of damage. There's also a lot more support here on the sides where this inner piece comes out, so I really appreciate that. I don't plan on playing these in a standalone fashion. I plan to use this either with a Bluetooth controller or locked into the Joy-Con controller that's included. So basically everything just snaps in via magnetic connection. And then I think the way that these work when you play them on the Joy-Con controller here, I think it just works off Bluetooth because there's no connection at all. There's no electronic connection on this little tab that comes out, so that's pretty cool. The way that these disconnect is a little bit of a better button in my opinion. The old ones had this really tiny button that you would have to push in order to slide it up and off of the controller, so I really appreciate that. The other thing is the joysticks themselves. In my opinion, they feel a little bit better than the originals. It just feels like a much more ergonomic controller. The triggers on the front, the L and the LZ, the R and the RZ, or whatever it's called, those both feel a little bit better, like they just contour to your hands a little bit better. And I do like the matte finish. I think the matte finish is a great touch for this controller. I think it feels better just overall in my opinion. Okay, so let's go ahead and connect both of these to the Joy-Con attachment. It's literally going to just attach itself via magnet, which is super, super nice. So here it is, and this is kind of what you end up with when it's all connected. I think it looks pretty cool. The only thing I don't like, I think there's a little bit of a gap here. I don't think that's going to be a problem. You're not going to feel that. I just thought maybe it would come up and wrap around, but you need that open space in order for them to just lock in easily instead of sliding in from the top like the old Switch. All right, so let's move on to the unit itself. One of the first things I noticed when I turned this on was the sound. The sound's really good. It's got some menu music that plays. I do like the slight size improvement on the power button. I think that's pretty cool. The volume button is nice, and then everything is now switched over to USB-C, and we still get our eighth inch headphone jack on the top as well. And then you're going to have the game card slot. The game card slot, in my opinion, is pretty cool. It basically Gives you a little bit more room to put the games in. I felt like with the original Switch there was not a lot of room to work with. This basically pulls up from the bottom just like that, and then it's got this flexible piece right here where it bends way back out of the way. It's got a little metal cap that slides over your cartridges, which is kind of cool. Then you're also going to have your USB-C port on the bottom, which is going to lock into the dock. So you'll be able to essentially take this, lock this right down into the dock just like the old Switch. It does stick up just a bit more than the original Switch, but I think that's totally okay. Now the other thing about this that I like is there's a lot more cooling vents, like just a lot more surface area here than the original Switch. It's got just a wider space here where it can dissipate and essentially evacuate heated air from the Nintendo as you're playing it. And then in addition to that, I do like the kickstand on this. It still feels a little bit, I don't want to say flimsy. It's not very thick. It does feel pretty durable though. But I like it over the original because it allows for a lot more articulation and it comes all the way across the back. The old one was just one single little piece that came out, but this comes all the way out across the entire back and it articulates all the way to that angle. So it's over a 90 degree, almost a 180 degree articulation. So you can have this down and be playing with it almost completely flat with just a tiny bit of tilt. And so that's going to give you a lot of different angle options depending on, you know, how you're sitting, how many people you're playing with, and just kind of your angle of view onto the screen, which is pretty cool. So I'm going to continue to let that download the update. Just wanted to show you that it also comes with a USB-C charger, USB-C on both ends. If you're going to be connecting this to the TV using the dock via HDMI, what you're going to do in order to set it up is you're going to grab down here on the back of the dock. This little cover is going to come right off. There's a few different attachment points, like 4 different attachment points that you're going to have to pop loose. Then you're going to take this and slide this right into the back. In order to hook it to the TV, you're also going to take the included HDMI cable. Immediately below the AC adapter, it'll just say HDMI out. You just plug that in. And that's pretty much everything on the back of the dock in order to run this through the TV. Then you're going to lock this into your TV using one of the HDMI in ports. And then you'll plug this into the wall, and that's pretty much it as far as TV connectivity. You're also going to get these little Joy-Con attachments. So basically what you're going to do is you're going to take this attachment and these black sides right here, these caps, you're going to take those are going to be facing up, and you're going to do the bottom portion first. You're going to slide the bottom portion on, then the top is just going to snap right into position, and now you're ready to use this as a motion controlled device depending on what game you're playing. I'm going to do an additional review at some point after I've played this for a little bit. I'm going to go over kind of my thoughts with the graphics, just the overall gameplay, the way that the interface works, and I'll just share a little bit more of an in-depth review. But again, this is just an unboxing, and my initial thoughts are pretty positive. I'm super happy I was able to get my hands on one of these after the first restock. If you like this video and it's helpful for you, make sure to follow, and until next time, I'll see you guys soon. Hope you have a great day.